Hello everyone, my name is Jamin Mehta. Today I'm going to talk to you about something that is really important to me, personally and professionally, and that is safety. Before I get into the details of it, just a little bit of background where I come from and what I do. Um, I work in the field of construction, project management, construction management, consulting, program management. I've worked about 15 years in the US and 9 years in India, and fortunately, I've always somehow found myself with working with the top 10 firms, global firms. Why I say fortunate? Because there's one thing that I have consistently learned from them is the importance of safety. Why is it so important to enforce safety, to understand safety? Today I'm going to talk to you about MEP safety, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. There's, if you look at it, there's no particular silo that says, okay, this is how you keep yourself doing mechanical things, and this is how you keep yourself doing electrical things. Of course, there are safety codes that will, in details, define how do you make sure, how do you kind of ensure that you are safe and the people working around you are safe doing this different things related to mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. However, I'm going to take it a little above, say, I'm not going to go into details of exactly what it takes to apply all of these rules, because otherwise I'll be here for the entire day and you don't want me here to be the entire day. But what I want to stitch together is why is it so important, and how does the common safety thread stitch through mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Now let's look at, say, I would say mechanical services. What what mechanical work could you be doing that will involve proper enforcement of safety? It could be installing HVAC systems, the air conditioning and vent. It could be the fire protection systems. Imagine if you're on a industrial project, or even working on airports or working on hospitals. There are so many of these HVAC elements, this fire protection elements in any buildings. Wherever you go, you will have this mechanical services that you have to work with, right? How do you make sure that you don't get injured or you don't injure somebody else while working in this particular silo? I'll come to that. Let me first go through the MEPs, and then we'll come back to that. But in particular, whenever you're dealing with this kind of hazards, whenever you're dealing with mechanicals, it could involve even lifting things. It could involve moving things around. It could involve a lot of cranes. So a lot of these things, they could be actually, you can find them when you're doing, you can find this kind of risks when you're doing electrical as well, when you're doing plumbing as well. But to be more precise, what are the risks when you're installing electrical services? What kind of electrical work that you are doing that's going to pose you risk? You could be, for example, installing high tension cables, right? Even when you're doing the power distribution network, there's earthing, there's a fire detection and alarm detection system that you could be installing. There's public address systems, there's a CCTV, there's a what do you call it, that's IPMS, the intelligent and integrated building security system. So there are all these different systems that you could be working on within the arena of electrical work. But there's one underlying thing that impacts all of that, where you have to be careful, is the live current going through it. Now you would say, okay, I'll be careful. I want to make sure that when the switch turns on, when the current goes through, I am safe. No, that's not enough. There are so many other things that you have to make sure while installing this electrical work that will keep you safe. And that plus the work that you do with the mechanical, all those will overlap, and I'll show you how. In the plumbing services, so whenever you're installing plumbing work, it could be your domestic water systems, flushing water, sewage mains, rainwater, you could be building water treatment plants, sewage treatment plants. Imagine you lifting a pipe from one place and going to another, right? You're using a crane. If you're doing electrical, imagine the HDPE pipes that are now used for example, if somebody's installing fiber network, they go in these HDPE pipes, and the swindles, the rolls of these pipes are really heavy. So either it's the electrical cables or the pipes or even the water pipes, whatever you use to move, the common factor is the crane. The common factor is the lifting equipment. People are also moving things around, whether you're working in electric MEs or Ps. There would be people who would be bending things. People would be lifting things. They'll be pulling and pushing. They'll be cutting things. One of the areas where most of the accidents happen, whether you're in mechanical, electrical, or plumbing, is people falling from heights. Did you ever think about that? People have died falling from 6 feet high. As high as 6 feet. You would think that, hey, I am 6 feet tall, and just somebody falling off from there, how can somebody die? Statistics say that. The top 10 violations around the world, they're actually official. Every year, this particular threat, as you call it, it gets updated, it gets recorded. And number one is the fall protection. People actually falling from heights. If you could be doing some mechanical work, you could be installing a duct overhead, right? And you're simply on a ladder or on some kind of lift, and if you're not tied properly, if you fall down, you can actually get fatally injured, or it can cause death. There are many other such scaffolding issues. There are machine guarding issues. That's one thing I see a lot in India, is that whether you're cutting pipes, whether you are putting edges on ducts, people don't use proper gloves. People don't maintain their equipments. You have these cutters, and if you don't have the guard on it, that's one of the basic no-nos, but then people simply go ahead with it, and they take shortcuts, and that's how you get injured. Imagine eye protection, face protection. If you're welding, you could be attaching things. You could be simply driving a nail somewhere, and if it just snaps and hits your eye. How many times you go to the construction site? I challenge you, how many times you go to the construction site and you see people, the guys who are actually working there are wearing these safety glasses? I don't see that a lot, especially here in India, and I keep on forcing it. It's difficult, but it's doable. You have to be persistent. You cannot simply say, you know what, I tried, but these guys are just not listening. No, that's not going to work. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing, all bets are off. It doesn't matter what work you're involved with, but there are basic PPE guidelines, the personal protective equipment guidelines, that you must follow, and you must make sure that the people working with you follow. What is the one common thing? Well, that's what at least that's how I look at safety. What's the one common thing that can really help manage safety? That one common thing that's going to drive you to the finish line every day is attitude. You want to carry an attitude where you're constantly spreading awareness about safety. You're trying to make sure that the people working around you are safe, whether it be M, E, or P. It could be anything, right? It's common sense. If you think, if you look around and ever if you think that there is something unsafe here, it probably is. It probably is. Speak up, find out. It's common sense, but don't give up. I really hope that you take safety very seriously for yourself, for your family, for your friends, and for the people who work with you on the sites, because they are the ones who are exposed to acts of unsafe behavior at all times. Thank you.